Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room,
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby. This is my show. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate that. About to get going here in a sec. I got some things on my mind. Important things. The most important of things. American fast food. No, I got serious things too. I got a number of things I want to get into. They're saying things about morality on Twitter, and it's got people going. Candace Owens is involved. We're going to get into many things here. Look, it's going to be a nice show, so appreciate you tuning in on this great Thursday. Nice shows today. Open Bible Thumper Thursday and onwards. So great shows on the network. Thank you for tuning in. All the viewers from Joel over here, very cool. Nit said we in trouble today. I don't know what you're talking about. But thanks for tuning in. You're watching me on YouTube. You're watching me on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. You're watching me on DLive.tv/Gorgonzola. Very cool. And you can call in 888-775-3773. You want to jump on the line and get it off your chest. So, you're here to watch the most important news. Wendy's insists dynamic pricing is not a plan for surge pricing like Uber or Lyft. So everybody calm down. You know, you heard me mention this the other day and you've been freaking out ever since. You're like, yeah, they're gonna make my burgers more expensive. Then we're gonna make my little fries more expensive. They're gonna make my little Coca-Cola. They're gonna make my little chicken nuggets more expensive. What is this? They censor you. They liberty justice is dead in America, and now my nuggies are gonna be more expensive. That's the last straw. For many Americans in my chat, it was. It was the day they woke up. I'm messing around, but it's this, if you don't remember me mentioning it, this idea that Wendy's would plan to increase prices during the busiest times at its restaurants. The influx of media attention on the plans had Senator Elizabeth Warren weighing in. It's price gouging, plain and simple. And American families have had enough. I guess for Elizabeth Warren, that was her last straw as well. Defending the people. What are you doing, Elizabeth Warren? Go get old with your family. Like, you have a family, right? Just go home. You're drunk. I'm just messing around. I remember that video with the beer. Someone get your mother. Someone get your grandma and take her out of politics, please. Wendy's company plans to invest about $20 million to launch digital menu boards at all of its U.S. company-run restaurants by the end of 2025. Wendy's said that its digital menu boards could allow us to change the menu offerings at different times of day and offer discounts at value offers to our customers more easily, particularly in the slower times. So you are planning on changing the prices. You just saw the backlash. You're like, well, no. Ignore the news. I know that we're talking about it, but calm down. I mentioned this the other day. You know, the surges kind of make a little bit of sense You're gonna call me big fast food shill. I know. I already hear it. You're gonna call me a shill for big food, big slop. You're gonna call me a big old shill. I get it. Oh, Nick's shilling for fake food co. Again. What's he gonna do next? Tell us to eat sugar? It makes a little sense because you got to understand. You can put the fast food on a level and be like, that's amazing, but that's not always the experience when you go. It depends on the time of day, the franchise, who owns it, who's running it, the name, the brand. That doesn't matter. It's about the people running it, right? And look, I get it. You think you're so moral. You're such a moral we need equality in fast food. We want to give McDoubles for all, you bigot. This is why we can't have nice things. We'll never have nice things. We have our American fast food chains run by lazy Mexican moms, women, I don't know. And you can't always get good things. I have horrible fry luck. They're always soggy. A surge of $1 in a busy time that it guarantees perfection makes a little bit of sense. Wendy's tries to get around this globo homo crap that has ruined our American chains, tries to do something for the people. And you guys go say, oh, that's unconstitutional. That's unfair. Instead of the national debt, they talk about the national debt. We're in debt. I want to see another metric next to the national debt, okay? I want the price of the McDouble up there with the national debt so that it puts things in perspective, just how far we have to go to bring back American greatness. I'm messing around. They say the McDouble broke the record, I believe, at some time for the cheapest. I forget, but something like it packed the most calories in the cheapest package in the cheapest meal in the world in history. What an achievement. You guys don't deserve McDoubles. You guys don't deserve cheap McDoubles. Look what you did to your bodies. So why are you even clamoring for cheap slop? You should be at home cooking anyways. It's actually kind of easy. It's not that difficult. It takes a little bit of work, but you figure it out. And ladies out there, there's many who say it's difficult to cook. I don't know how to cook. You're really only I learned pretty recently, you're really only one good cookbook away from being a really good home cook. A little bit of elbow grease and one good cookbook, ladies. Don't worry. You could do it. Fellas, too, you could cook for yourself. You don't got to eat the slop. Look, I'm talking about the important things. Don't get mad at me. This is important. The Mexicans run the McDonald's better than the blacks, but it's still a mess, says Bertie Bound Brian. Kyle Sawyer says in my chat, exactly right. At least someone understands. At least someone gets why I'm doing this. Morality. It's about morality. It's about, I don't know. I'm messing around a little bit. It's important to me a little bit. But it's a nice segue into morality. Look, I came across this from the Skim. They linked this article from PBS. It's about abortion. And I know that's a topic that matters a lot to people, especially in my chat. We're Christians. You can't let that happen. It's a horrible thing for America. A horrible blemish. On America, right? This Christian country, right? So it's a hot topic, right? It's been debated heavily. Roe v. Wade. So this article talks about a little bit about the statistics. What's it like in a post-Roe v. Wade America? So here's the report from PBS. As expected, the report found the number of abortions dropped in the 14 states that banned the procedure post-Roe. Yet states with abortion access, like Illinois and Florida, saw a surge. Between July and September of last year, there were between 81,000 and nearly 89,000 abortions per month. Wow. Not far from the average in 2022, though, when Roe was in place. The report suggests that many have suspected, abortion bans don't stop people from getting the reproductive health care. They call it reproductive health care. They don't need it, but only make it more difficult. The report also suggests many had to travel out of state to get the procedure to turn to medication abortion. That line right there should hearken to the actual purpose, right, of the Supreme Court and Roe v. Wade and how the undoing of that was really just to make things go back to how it was. Let the states handle it, right? Some of you might know better than I, but that's the story from PBS. Here's a little side note from the same article, though. Oh no, this is from the Skim. My apologies. Oh, and speaking of abortion access, France is one step closer to enshrining a woman's right to the procedure in its constitution. They call it a right. It's your right to abortion. If next week's final vote goes as planned, France will be the first country in the world to pull it off. Interesting times. And it brings to mind those images of those Argentinian women, for example, when they legalized it, something like that, and they were out there in huge swaths just yelling, screaming, yes, we can kill our babies, finally. Obviously, they don't think that. To really understand this whole abortion thing, you got to understand the enmity between man and woman, right? That almost biblical enmity, okay? So that's the story for PBS. U.S. abortion rates remain steady. And is it really any surprise, right? Well, it hasn't been that long since Roe v. Wade got undone and all that. But this shouldn't be a surprise. But I feel like for a lot of people, that's really important, right? That we got rid of Roe v. Wade, right? And so you read this out, and I bet you the temptation for some intellectuals is to think, well, if we could just ban it all in all the states, then we could really save the babies. It reminds me of the false prescriptions to so-called gun violence, right? Let's say, well, it's these other states. It's these other states that have no gun laws, these Republican states, these red states. They'll buy the guns there, they'll bring them over. It's all your fault. It's you blue states, it's all your fault. You guys still have abortion, and our wives, our girlfriends, our women, our daughters, they're just going over the state line and we can't do anything about it. It's your fault. If you could just ban it all, I don't say that to say, by the way, that abortion shouldn't be banned. I'm not saying that. I'm just pointing out the kind of like the misdiagnosis, the shallow understanding of people and evil. Like, why do women abort? You can't understand abortion unless you understand that if men got involved, it's something I heard Jesse say, if men got involved, it wouldn't be a problem. It literally wouldn't be a problem. Whether that's like marrying and staying and being there, or standing up to the monster you've created, I don't know. So if men got involved, if they actually cared, if they actually loved their children, if they actually had love or some working through them, think about that. The other reason, though, some say is convenience. They say it's convenient, and these women, they've just been brainwashed to think it's okay. It's just a kidney. You're just getting rid of a kidney. You're just getting rid of it's a clump of cells. And they were just brainwashed. These poor girls were brainwashed. They think it's convenience. They think it's they can have a career that it won't ruin their career because they think that's good and they should have that. But you got to confront the implications of that. How is it that so many women could be so comfortable with this dynamic? You would think that something would tell you, there's something wrong with me living with no consequences. No consequence for acting crazy, no consequences for mistakes, for living crazy, you know what I mean? How is it that so many women could be so fine with that? Oh, they were brainwashed. They were just brainwashed by liberal ideology. Remember, that's what they were saying about Aaron Bushnell, the guy that set himself on fire. It was just liberal ideology. I don't know. I think that's a shallow and this weak diagnosis. How is it that so many loving, nurturing, divine females could be goaded into the setup where you're killing life off and all this. The thing is everyone knows this. Lack of appreciation for life. Interesting, Kevin. How is it that so many women can have such a lack of appreciation for life? Maybe they're not so loving, okay? Your wife, your beautiful wife, daughter, will kill your kid if she hates you. So, you're following me so far. The thing is, abortion, however, is not even a problem when you think about it. It's like the people who say crime is a problem. I see your calls too, by the way. Thank you for the patience. 888-775-3773. It's like the people who say crime is a problem. Crime is not this mystery, and you look around and you think, oh, whatever will we do? People are just so evil. Or if you're someone else, you might think, people are just so oppressed that they have to resort to this. Really shallow, okay? The solutions usually are just repenting, like like admitting you're wrong. This doesn't work. This just doesn't work. And we keep trying to make something work that doesn't work. I think the inability to do that, just admit you're wrong without coming up with a diagnosis and a prescription and just this doesn't work, and having the faith to kind of let it play out and see where you really went wrong, is the cause of a lot of things. Racism, economics, right? Like, there would be no issue, no racial inequality and issues like that if, for example, whites just said, oh, this isn't working. I'm going to stop pretending like I'm your problem, and I'll just be honest. Slavery's over, I'm not your problem, etc. You could probably see what I mean. Like crime. Crime can be dealt with. Similarly, so can abortion. I'm just saying, consider for a moment the insights of the stats, I guess. Roe v. Wade wasn't the cause of abortions, and it's not an ending of Roe v. Wade isn't the end of them either. I guess that's obvious, but just pointing that out. The whole thing's kind of a misunderstanding anyways, right? It's supposed to be giving it back to the states. Roe v. Wade was, I heard it was a misuse of the Supreme Court. But anyways, I mean, this whole thing, it's like we're talking about immorality. How did people get here? I notice most of the time, for people to do wrong, to be immoral or whatever, you already have to be there. You know what I mean? You already have to kind of be there. You know what I mean by that? Like, you have to already be angry. You already have to be there and willing. And you don't just do drugs. You don't just do violence. You don't just do crime. Like, you have to already be there. You know what I mean? And you get there by influence and other things. Okay, so just putting that out there. It's why we shouldn't feel bad for people too, or judge them, or feel hatred towards them. Hating immorality, abortion, all these things, accepts it. That was something I heard on the Hake Report. Very deep. Hating it accepts it. You accept it. Know what I'm saying? Hello. And I bring this all up, morality and all this, because I want to get into this what's this story here? What's going on with Candace? They're saying she wants to get to the bottom of something. She wants to get to the bottom of pornography and the history and who's behind it. I want to get into this in a moment here. I have Mark out of Los Angeles, though. I appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, Mark, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, did you listen to the Hake Report this morning?
I did.
Did you hear him read that toward the end of the show? He was talking about an article from, I think, the New York Times from 1958 about Negro crime in New York.
Sort of. I may have missed that part.
Okay, well, he read an article, and believe it or not, It appeared in the New York Times. I mean, they were commies even back then. But the subject of the article that he read dealt with black crime in cities across America. And, again, this was 1958. And in the article, the person who authored it said that in meetings he had had with city mayors across the country, that they were angry and upset but couldn't talk about the black crime issue in their cities. Now, this is almost 65 years ago, or it is actually 65 years ago. So black crime isn't anything new. It's just it was always an evil that's been with us since basically the end of slavery.
Wow.
And these mayors were just perplexed. They didn't know what to do, and they had to keep it a secret because even back then, being considered a racist wasn't anything, to be proud of. So I want to tell you that in my studies, black crime started right after slavery ended, and there was a case in like 1905 or so, I can't remember the exact year, but in New York City, where a black guy with a gun went on a killing rampage. He even killed a cop, and finally the cops went up there and killed him, and in this building that he was held up. And I don't know the details. I read about it long ago, but in the article that I read, it basically talked about when black crime in America became a real problem. And now, after the civil rights movement and the in 1958 was before all this civil rights stuff. It was brewing, as Hake said, even in '58. But it's been fully blown. They've got everything they've wanted, and the crime wave has only gotten worse.
But it wasn't always, right?
Pardon me?
It wasn't always getting worse. Am I right about this?
Well, I think
at one point it got. I heard it got pretty bad in the '80s or '90s, and
no, it was bad.
And I heard I think I heard on the Hake Report the actual like homicide numbers, and even right now it's some of the they say the crime is pretty bad now. Defund the police. It sure seems that way, and I think it's true. But even the homicide rate of today doesn't compare to that time, but it all came down, right? So it wasn't always going up, right? So, am I wrong about this?
I think so, because I've never seen it so bad. In the 50s, you didn't see these savages going into jewelry stores and looting them, and looting, drug stores and whatever else they loot. They started doing that routine in the 60s. But before that, I never heard of anything like that happening. Been around a long time. And I could tell you now, in my experience, the black crime wave is worse than it's ever been. Of course, the FBI, sometimes they'll put the truth out, sometimes they won't. Mark Dice did a real expose on black crime in America. He had some FBI stats. I can't recall them right now, but they were very, very high. And if you look at his show from last week, he'll give you the numbers. He actually showed the report from the FBI on racial breakdowns of homicides in America. I think it's something like, now it comes to me, 22.2 per 100,000 blacks murder, 2.2 of whites per 100,000 murder. So that's 10 times the amount, and Negroes are only 13% of the population. So
why do you think that is?
Pardon me?
Why do you think? Yeah.
Revenge, jealousy, hatred. All those reasons. They're they hate a lot of them.
Yes.
Of these murders are based on race. Others are just jealous. I think they're jealous of our accomplishments.
So what makes them dangerous? And you didn't call them evil, but what makes them dangerous or even evil is that it's their jealousy, their hatred.
Yes, and it's not just an American problem. I mean, England has had problems with them for decades, actually, over there since the 60s. Any country, even with a white majority, but a substantial number of Negroes, you're going to have a lot of black crime. It's everywhere. And the only thing is, today, they cover it up. In the past, they couldn't cover it up, but they tried. Even in the
You know,
60s.
yesterday I was reporting on something, some graph from Pew Research. I don't know how much to trust this stuff, but it says that like whites are they remain even now, even after 2020, the 75% plus of the electorate.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, Pew Research here. Let me see if I can pull it up. It was shared by Scott Greer on Twitter, but it's this graph, and it says, that whites even now remain the biggest, the biggest chunk of the electorate, and pretty significant, over 75%.
Yeah, that's why we have an open border. Biden, his globalist buddies, the white hater Obama.
Because whites are okay with it? Is that what you're saying? Because whites allowed it? Because whites are allowing it? Is that what you're saying by that's why we have an open border?
Some of them are encouraging it.
Right.
But what Biden's trying to do is flood the country with these inferiors so they can vote us out of existence. He realizes those numbers are real, Biden, but I know you're not allowed to say that 2020 was rigged, so I won't say it. But if 75% of the electorate is white,
thanks for sort of not saying it. Go ahead.
How in the world did Obama win twice and this scumbag in there now win? If 75% of the electorate of the voters are white, something doesn't jive there, man.
Oh, you think so? Maybe you're misunderestimating the power, the fear, the power, the false power that fear has, the grip that fear has over Americans, white America, etc.
Well, yeah, but when you go into the voting booth,
and not just fear, just they're just liberals. Sorry, go ahead. I cut you off. My bad.
No, good. No, a lot of them are. I don't want to say it on your air, but a lot of whites who vote for the left.
Yeah.
They're just the enemy. They're brainwashed, indoctrinated idiots. Who would vote for? If you voted for Biden the first time, you were stupid. If you vote for him this time, you're a traitor, and I mean that sincerely.
But wait, does something not jive, or does something not jive, or did white people vote for Biden twice and Obama twice?
Well, it would have been Obama twice and Biden once.
I mean, sorry, Biden once. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the election was fair in 20. So you can say
I know.
that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I don't want to mess you up here.
No problem, but I see where you're coming from. No problem.
Okay, so
shenanigans.
Yeah, now I'm thinking and hoping and praying that at least 51% of the voters vote for Trump so we can get him in there, because I think they're going to try the same nonsense that they got away with in 20. But like President Trump says at his stump rallies, if we overwhelm the machines with Trump voters, they can't cheat us out of it again. And that's the hope and the prayer that I have.
But do you think that so you don't think that this was of their own hand, of their own doing, white people voting in Obama and voting in Biden?
Well, I don't think the Obama elections were rigged. I think there was a lot of white guilt out there. I mean,
exactly
where my home state is, it's a conservative state. Won't say where it is, but they voted for Obama, and it's a very red state. The state I'm speaking of is considered today to be a red state, but they actually voted for Obama twice.
Are they these white haters, etc., as you call them? And I don't disagree. Because they resent or hate you or white America, are you justified in hating them?
Well, I don't want to go with this because that'll.
Why not? I'm sorry. Say again. Sorry, I missed what you said, Mark. My bad.
No, I was saying that I don't want to go into who hates who. I can tell you this much.
But that's what I care about, Mark. And I don't mean to I might be doing this in a clunky way or a wrong way, in the wrong spirit. I may be trying to make up for something here, and I could be wrong for that. But, you call my show often, and I remember you called James recently. It was such a good call because it's like you got the facts, you got all that stuff, and I appreciate that. I don't even disagree with you. But my show is about, I care about this. It's like, but what's causing the hate and why? Because my show, I'm not trying to accuse you of anything, Mark, but you do have this spirit of and you've admitted it yourself with your own words, to be fair, that it's okay to resent back or have anger back towards these people. And I want to just make that point. It's fine if you disagree or you think you're not like that. That's fine. But I just want to make it clear for my audience. That's what I'm about, and people who call me. I'm not about the hate, but this is clunky. I cut you off, Mark. Go ahead. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
I was just going to say I would respond by saying it's not anger versus it's fighting fire with fire.
That's a mess. Sorry, go on.
We
explain
cannot,
yourself.
And I told Hake this yesterday. We're not going to pray our way out of this. I mean, that's foolishness. If you think we're going to pray when God has given us the ability to fight on our own, we're going to pray that He's going to help us. We don't deserve to win. If all we're going to do is pray our way out of this, we're losers. Our great grandparents didn't talk the Indians into giving us this country. We defeated them and we killed most of them. And I'm not ashamed.
I would say, yeah, but I'd say that's a little bit of a LARP, pretending like hating. For example, pretending like hating blacks and blaming them for your issues, and I'm not saying you're doing that, but anyone who is doing that, someone that does that, pretending like that's one of the founding fathers, one of the tough founding fathers who, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's a false equivalency just because whoever you spoke about back in the history of America, used violence. It's a false equivalency to say, well, if I use it today, I'm like them. It's a total false equivalency. Because they're not the same people. You're going to tell me, I doubt that, I guess I'm just trying to say that there may have been hate even back then with the Indians, but even if there was, it's wrong back then and wrong today. That's not very Christian.
Well,
I'll let you speak because I'm not being very clear.
If they had thought the way what you just said, that we'd still be living in teepees. If they would have had that pacifist attitude, and that is pacifism, to say, well, you can't be violent because then you're as bad as your enemy. That's baloney. The only way we're going to liberate ourselves is by fighting. And I'm not advocating violence.
Right on. Me neither. And I'm not saying there's not a time for violence, right? But clearly for those who you're talking about, that time was then here's what you're missing. Here's what you're missing is, just because you have to fight, even if it's physical, with violence to defend yourself, even to kill, that does not mean that you are hating someone. You're not hating that person. Just even if you kill someone out of defense, out of whatever reason, you know what I'm trying to say here. That doesn't necessarily mean that you hate that person. And what I'm talking about is hatred.
When you get into a fight, hand-to-hand combat in a war situation. Okay, say you get into a hand-to-hand combat, you don't have your weapons are lost or whatever, and you're beating some guy to death. Are you saying I love you with each punch? Are you thinking,
well, no, but why do I have to say? Why do I have to say?
Outrageous.
No, but no. What's outrageous?
That's like being a pacifist.
No, but wait, I appreciate it. What's outrageous, Mark, is that you think that you have to. Why is it that those are your only two options? Either I'm fighting someone, and it's I hate you and I'm going to fight you effectively, or I'm going to fight you and say I love you. Why are those your only two options? You're not even thinking clearly. Why not just fight? Why not just fight?
I mean, that's not the only two options.
That's what it means.
Surrender.
No. Or you could just fight. Or you could just fight without having to say I love you, bro, or I hate you. You could just fight because that's what you have to do.
When you're fighting for your life against somebody, and I've been in these situations where if I didn't fight my way out of it, I'd be 6 feet under. And you ain't loving the guy that's going to put you there. You could say that on your show. I mean, you could make believe that, oh, yeah, as much as I hate my enemy.
But answer that question. Why do you have to say I hate you when you're punching someone? Or why do you have to say either I hate you or I love you when you're punching someone? Answer that question.
No. You don't have to say a word.
Right. Okay. What about internally? Let's make this clear. What about internally when you're fighting? Internally in your feelings and in your head, why do you have to say to yourself, I hate this person or I love this person?
You don't really have to say either. But and
why not? And why not? And why don't you have to say either?
Why are you going to think things? You're fighting to save your life. Instinctively, you are going to hate the man who's trying to hurt you or your
Okay,
loved one.
but remember, but just to remind you, I'm responding to what you said about me saying, "Oh, fighting without anger." You thought that was absolutely ridiculous. In your mind, you're either fight in your mind in your mind, you can either only fight by hating someone and being angry at them, or the other option in your mind is, well, I have to punch them and say I love you. That's what you said to me when I said that to you.
Well, I know, because your philosophy is love your enemy. Isn't that basically what you're saying here?
Correct.
In our discussion, love your enemy.
What do you think that means, though? What does that mean to you?
It means try to make him change.
No.
Or accept you.
No, it just means don't hate. It just means don't hate.
Okay, well, that's just the word, really.
Well, that just word and I know you call it just a word, and well, it's more than just. It's a couple of words. It's a sentence, I guess. That just a word is the greatest commandment that Jesus gave us. Didn't you say you were a Christian?
Yeah. Does it say "Thou shalt not hate"? I didn't see that.
It says to love your enemies. He said, "Love your enemies."
That's in the Ten Commandments.
He said the complete. What did he say? Chat, help me out.
No. In the Ten Commandments, does it say that?
No, but it doesn't say it in the. Hold on, it doesn't say it in the Ten Commandments, but it's about the Ten Commandments. If you remember, and I bet you chat maybe could help me. Jesus was responding about someone asked him about the Ten Commandments, and he said, "Well, the completion or the you know how." I forget exactly what he said, but the completion of the commandments is to love God above all else and to love your enemy.
Okay.
So it's not, I know you call it just words, but it's, I know you said you're Christian too, so I don't know if that's just words too.
No, I accept Jesus. And that's all you got to do is accept Jesus as your personal Savior and mean it and be sincere.
And love your enemy.
Yeah, well, that's what you say.
No, that's what Jesus said.
Well, he may have said that, but he was the Son of God. We're human.
Okay, so then you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm just some anchor baby who said that. So don't worry about me. Well, no, but what about Jesus, the Son of God? He said it. What do you think about that now?
Well, the Son of God is, we're not all the Son of God. We don't have the temperament of Jesus Christ.
So when the Son of God, wait a second. Let me understand this, Mark. So you told me you're a Christian, and you said you gave your life to Jesus and all that. The Son of God told you must love your enemy. And so when the Son of God tells you that, you tell him, well, you're the Son of God, not me.
No, I wouldn't. What I'm trying to say, he is actually, he's got God in what was his human form.
And he said that you have him inside of you too.
Right.
Jesus also said you said Jesus had God in him. Well, he said you have him in you too.
Okay. But I'm not perfect, and neither are you. And I promise you, if one of your loved ones was attacked in front of you, this love everybody and I'm a peace creep out the window.
That may be true. I'm not saying I'm saying that's what we should have. We should have love. Look, if you want to judge me, Mark, if you want to look at me and say, you, Nick, you know what, Nick, if your family member was attacked, I bet you would da-da-da. And you know what? You want to put the standard on me, this individual who I got to go through the same problems as anyone else. Sure. Then fine. You'll never get there. You'll just see the flaws and everything. That doesn't change the fact that Jesus said be perfect. God said be perfect. And he said God is in you, and it doesn't sound like you believe that, because he said love your enemies, and all that. So,
okay, who's perfect?
Say again.
Who is perfect?
I don't know. God? What are you asking?
Nobody's perfect. Well, Jesus was, but he was again the Son of God. And because nobody's perfect, we're all doomed. All I'm trying to say is, I am not going to feel guilt or feel like I'm against Jesus because I hate his enemies or I hate my enemies. That's just baloney. How do you think we won all these wars? It wasn't because we loved our enemies and we prayed our way to victory.
But you're making a false assumption of what we're saying of our prescription on not having anger. You're making a false assumption, and I feel like we've been through this a couple of times, but you keep arriving to the same false assumption that when we say pray, when we say don't have anger, it means do nothing. It means just let someone kill you. It just means you know what I mean?
Okay, then I'll put it.
I'm just saying that's a false assumption you keep saying about what our prescription is. That being said, it's also interesting that you don't quite see that what we're saying is this fighting with fire actually does not fix the issue. You might think it does, but it doesn't.
Okay, so how do you fight this problem we have in America?
Well, not
than praying. I know you're going to say pray. Besides praying, what else?
What do you think prayer is? I thought you were a Christian. You know, like for what? You're sounding like the world. You sound like these atheists who are like, "Oh, what are you going to do? Pray? What are you going to do? Pray?" I thought prayer. I thought prayer was connection with God, the most perfect stillness, and everything is there. But we're just talking about prayer like this silly thing. You sound like the atheist. Oh, what are you going to do? Just pray?
No, what I pray, first of all, myself. But prayer alone, maybe I have to specify that for you. Prayer alone will not stop what's happening in this world today. It'll help, but it's going to take more.
You're actually right about that, man. That's interesting. I appreciate you saying that. Now I understand you a little bit better, because maybe you don't know what I mean by prayer, because when I say prayer, I don't mean like prayer is going to fix the world or actually even going to do anything. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to.
Well, I think it helps.
No, well, it's what? In what way? In what way does prayer?
Well, I think if your enemy is an atheist, for example, like when we fought the communists or the heathen Indians, they're heathens. They don't accept Jesus, and they never did. I think having the Lord on your side in a war will help you, but you still
believe
fight.
God was involved in those wars, and prayer helped some of those wars along.
I agree.
I'm not going to say no, because I don't know, but that sounds like, I don't think you know either, to be fair, Mark. Personally, if you ask me, that's not what I mean by prayer or what prayer does. Prayer is it's all about you. It's only about you. It's about how prayer will help you understand yourself. And that's it. And that's it. So I see what you mean by prayer now, and you're right. Prayer in the way you're talking about, it's not going to change anything.
No. Prayer, if you pray 2 hours a day, for example, and you go out and get robbed, get assaulted, get beat to death. It could happen to anybody, but prayer alone, I have to specify, prayer alone is not going to solve these problems.
Prayer alone, everything else is a lie. Prayer alone is what's going to save you, Mark. The individual.
You mean when I'm dead and buried?
And there's nothing. What?
Yeah, sure, I agree with that. When I'm dead and buried, and I'm judged.
How are you going to pray when you're dead? It's too late then. What are you talking about?
But the prayer that I have done over my life, hopefully, will get me into heaven. But as far as trying to keep our country safe and clean and all that, prayer alone, I'm sorry, it's just not going to work. It's just not enough.
I hear you, Mark, man. I appreciate having a conversation with me about this. Honestly, I'm still not using prayer the way you're using it. I'm still not using anger in the way you're using it, but I hope we can have more conversations about this and arrive to more understanding.
Can I ask you one last question?
Absolutely.
It's kind of a two-parter.
No, go ahead.
What would you, if you were walking down the street with, I don't know if you have a sister, but say you have a sister, a girlfriend, whatever.
Yes.
And a couple of guys come and assault her in front of you. Are you going to pray or are you going to fight?
I don't know. I'll wait till I'm in that situation.
Come on.
Okay, I'll bite and I'll bite and play a if game, although you should avoid it. I don't know what I would do in that situation, man. But I would hope that I don't freeze and I act and I do what I got to do to defend if someone's innocent. I don't know. Maybe she got in a fight. Maybe you don't know my sister, man. She's got a crazy mouth on her. She's got to learn a lesson. But that's a joke. But to answer your question, hopefully I wouldn't freeze. Hopefully I would act. I really don't know what I would do. But if your question, if what you're trying to arrive to, I'm trying to hurry this along, sorry, Mark. But if what you're trying to arrive at is, well, see, you're going to act and not just sit there and act like you're going to forgive this person. Again, you're misunderstanding what I mean by forgiveness and what I mean by love. It doesn't mean everything you're saying to sit back and let someone hurt an innocent. You know what I mean? It's just totally different.
Okay, I guess basically
it just means not hating that person. It just means to not hate the person trying to hurt my sister.
How can you love anybody if you don't hate what tries to hurt it?
You don't know what that means. I don't think you know what that means.
Well, that's a question.
Yeah. How do you say it again for me?
How can you love anybody if you don't hate what tries to hurt it?
Yeah, how can you love? Because if you hate one thing, if you just hate one,
no.
I'll answer you. You can't because how can you love something if you don't hate what hurts it?
What tries to hurt it?
If you hate what tries to hurt it, you don't love it. If you hate what's hurting whoever or whatever it is you love, if you hate whatever is hurting whatever it is you love, you actually don't love what you think you love.
Nah, I don't buy that.
Okay.
I think if you see somebody that you love in trouble, aren't you going to help them?
Sure, maybe. But maybe helping hurts them. I don't know if you realize that. You can hurt by help with your so-called help. Did you know that?
If they're being robbed or raped or assaulted.
Sure, that's one situation. What about that situation? Sure, I would help. I would try and help.
Sure. And this person that is being raped or robbed is a friend of yours. You're telling me that you will have no hard feelings toward these suspects.
It would be wrong for me to have the hard feelings towards those people. I don't know if I would. I might. Because I still might have that in me. And I got to overcome. Okay, God's got to take that away from me still. I'm not going to pretend. So you understand that, right? I'm not saying that's okay, though. I'm not saying that's okay, though.
Are you saying that
just because it's something I might do doesn't make it okay? You understand that, right?
Do you consider yourself a pacifist?
Yeah, I think. I'm not going around. I don't know. It depends. Some might see me not as a pacifist. I see myself as a bit of a pacifist, but some say I just argue with people.
I mean, if you're a pacifist, then if we had a pacifist society, the commies could, take over.
Well,
tomorrow.
Right on, Mark. I'll leave it at this. I'll leave it with this. Something to smoke on. You say if we had a pacifist society, things would be worse, right? Or is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah.
But we have an angry society right now, and things are as bad as they are. So, appreciate your call, Mark. Hopefully, we can talk more about this some other time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
I hope I didn't go too long. Sorry about that. My bad. I appreciate it. I see you waiting in the calls there at 888-775-3773. My bad. Hope I didn't spend too much time there. Joel Friday in the chat says, all I know is if something goes down, I want Nick on my team. Joel, do you know about Hobbit Skirmish? You ever heard me talk about Hobbit Skirmish? Back in the day, going out to the bars with friends, there was some, I've talked about it on my show before. There was some spats and threats of violence, some Donnybrooks, some brouhahas back in the day. But there was one in particular that we call Hobbit Skirmish. We'll never forget that one. And I saw my friend out in the distance being accosted by a Frodo-looking hobbit. And I'm like, this is not right. I could sense it. Something in me just knew this is a fight. This is about to be a fight. And so I run up right behind this guy because I just knew. And I go right behind him, and I just appear behind him. I put my hand on his shoulder and I say, "Hey, man, you trying to make friends? I could be your friend." And it just went down after that. It was a bunch of us though. There really wasn't. It ended fast. But I was just trying to make friends. I was just trying to make some friends. Hobbit Skirmish, never forget. Hobbit Skirmish, I think Hobbit Skirmish was 2016. What a year. In fact, Hobbit Skirmish was at a bar called the Baltimore House in Hamilton, Ontario. And it was at that very same bar on a karaoke night. I was watching the election, Trump, and it was like all Hillary. And I'm like, it's over. And then all of a sudden, I open up my phone and it's like, boom, big red line for Trump. It was the best. I outed myself that day. I had the ladies were all around us, and everybody, the fellas didn't want me to scare the ladies away, but I didn't care. I was like, let's go Trump. I scared the hoes away. Oh, am I allowed to say that? The sun is still up. I got some interesting chats here, maybe even super chats. Let's get to all of that and calls and more. Sean was talking through that call. My bad, I didn't get to you. You can severely injure someone in self-defense while also being still in prayer. Interesting comment, yeah. You can love someone, yeah. If you fight with emotion, you'll end up going too far and get yourself in trouble. Kill someone. Fighting without emotion allows you to fight in perfect proportion to what's needed. Great points, Sean. Goliath fought with emotion. David fought with insight. Boom! I didn't see you guys were getting in on the conversation. Appreciate that. Sion, also with a coffee. Thank you so much. Sion with a triple coffee here. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. She just writes Speedy. A little Speedy. Thank you. Thank you for the coffee. Very, very nice. I got super chats here on YouTube. Let's kick it off here. We got Hake, thank you, says, Mama libs don't want them ashamed and guilt-ridden over abortion. Neither do we, but we don't pretend it's good. Thank you for that, Hake. Super chat from earlier there. And another one from Carver. He writes, but I'm not advocating violence. And he says that's Mark's catchphrase. Thank you for a call, Mark, and thank you for your super chat, Carver. You can support if you'd like. You can't always support monetarily. So jump in the chat. Hit the like button. Chat away. Leave a comment if you don't like what you see. Maybe you want to give me a little bit of constructive criticism, huh? Knit with the worst fight dialogue ever. Hey, you want to be my friend? It feels like you're trying to make friends. Look. It's strategy. It's strategy. I'm a lover, not a fighter. So I went up to him and I said, it looks like you're trying to make some friends here, man. I could be your friend. Frenzies? And he didn't want to be friends. Matthew with the super chat, thank you, says, if Mark was a dwarf, he would be bashful. Thank you for that, Matthew. Very nice. What shall we do now? I want to get into this mess a little bit here. Well, it's not mess. Candace Owens has questions, okay? Nick keeping the peace. Why do the flat earthers hate me so much? What the heck? How come you guys love Hake? He calls it an obvious globe. And you guys are all up in my chat, mad hating me. It's like, I got this one caller. He calls me all crazy. And I'm like, I don't know how to handle it. That's my own issue, right? If you're seeing that live, whatever. Whatever, I'm moving on. And he calls Joel, and it's like, hunky-dory. Anyways, I'll be the lightning rod. Okay, let's get into this. Candace Owens says she wants to get to the bottom of pornography. She made a little post here on x.com. She writes, pornography is an intentional weapon. Here, let me pull this up. She writes, pornography is an intentional weapon of mass destruction. It was designed to weaken men with an understanding of their physiological responses. It is also designed to drive men further into perversion. Time to look into the history and profiteering of pornography, she writes. 6 million views. And so here it is. Where is it? Right, so she's put this out. And it's gotten a lot of attention, actually. People are like, what? What are you talking about, Candace? What do you mean? They're like, what is the history, Candace? And Candace is all over the comments here, also with question marks, just incredulous. She's like, I literally just said I wanted to look into it. I don't know the history. What I know is that it's a weapon of mass destruction, and I am motivated to find answers. Is there a theory you would like to share? She's like, what are you guys talking about? And the comments are a little, we got a lot of experts in the comments here, okay? They're saying, look, we got 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎. 𒒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 actually wrote a whole book on sexual liberation and political control. I've only heard some comments he's made on that, and it sounds pretty interesting. Sexual liberation, okay? That's an interesting topic. That's an interesting, what the heck happened there? I gotta say, I don't know if it's really all that free, as they say. Does it feel like you're free, folks? Do you feel free, ladies, all in your sexual liberation? Do you feel happy and free? Fellas, are you liberated and free? Having to look at and do stuff all the time? You might think, I can stop whenever I want. Do you feel liberated? So the people in the comments, they're saying it's the Jews, okay? They're all over Candace's Twitter here saying, oh yeah, Candace, I got an idea. And I'm laughing because it certainly feels like the conversation online has changed a bit. You know, they say Elon Musk, he turned X into a nasty cesspool of anti-Semitism and whatever, and racism. You got people like Mark Cuban crying about how, well, at least these other platforms, they're chill, but X is horrible. Meanwhile, he's on it every day. He's using it every day. When you put it into context of all this censorship, the Supreme Court wants to hear this stuff on censorship again and big tech, and you see the hate that Elon gets, it makes me think that all this is a little closer to organic. You know what I mean? When left to their own devices, people really exercise their free speech in a way that it makes people uncomfortable. So Candace wants to get to the bottom of this, right? And the Jews say what? Wait, the Jews say what, though? Look, some people are, I guess, preempting. They're preempting what Candace Owens is going to say. This Anthony Koch, I don't know who he is, reposted this initial tweet by Candace about pornography. He writes, Candace Owens is now straight up doing the Jews invented pornography to destroy Western men and Western society shtick. The American freak right strikes again. Wait a sec. The Jews say what, though? Hold up. She didn't say anything yet. Wait, hold on, man. Calm down. Don't jump the gun. I'm laughing because I'm aware of all these terms and words because there's people, you know, in my chat and all that. They know all the memes and all the words, so now I know them too about anti-Semitism and Jews and all that. So okay, hold on. Where are we? It's got the conversation going. People are on edge. They're saying she's gonna go anti-Semite with it, and I come to see that there's a lot of people in her comments and otherwise that they really do blame the Jews for pornography, and they'll point out. I'm coming to find. They'll point out, for example, owners and producers in this industry. It's amazing that's an industry that are disproportionately Jewish, right? And I don't really care about that. That's not really my thing. So they're pointing that out, though, and they're saying, "Look, but I want to point this out. Look, this is women when they wear their pretty little hits. Look, let me put together my thoughts." Because I see Candace Owens, she wants to get to the bottom of it. And I get it. That's interesting. But knowing facts, knowing this so-called truth is usually just a judgment, okay? Let me see if I can point out what I'm trying to say here. Because Candace wants to get to the bottom of it. Anybody remember Kaylee Triller? She was a guest on The Fallen State. Jesse, I believe she was a guest like even before that, but then they brought her back. She's like this Christian woman, but she's a liberal. And she's like pro-Palestine, but she's a Christian. Kaylee Triller, if you remember her spot on The Fallen State, she mentions how she got divorced but got married again, but she has kids. And that was a whole thing. But she's a Christian, right? And she put out this tweet here on pornography. She says, I mean, if we're going to play this game, why don't women want Western men? She's reacting to all the men online saying why they don't want Western women, why Western women suck, and we don't want them anymore. She's reacting to that, and she's like, well, if you want to play this game, well, why do you think Western women don't want Western men? And she shares this statistics, pornography statistics. 90 to 99% of men regularly view pornography. Take statistics with a grain of salt, but I'm thinking about my peers and my age cohort. I can't think of a single person. I remember learning about some pornography stuff, and I remember going around asking. I can't think of a single, there was not a single person my age and younger who did not view porn. 94.2% of men had viewed pornography in the last 6 months. Additionally, 82% indicated they currently were regular users, etc. And so this goes on. It's interesting, this study notes that religious participants did not report using pornography any more or less frequently than their non-religious counterparts. So, Kaylee Triller shares this, and she's saying, okay, this is why Western women don't want you men. Okay, we could play that too. So let me try and put this all together, what I'm thinking of. Candace Owens and this. Because knowing facts usually just leads to judgment, okay? This goes for Christians big time. Some Christian women, they go around calling watching porn cheating. They'll call it cheating, and they take it really hard. Like it's a real offense to her. Like a personal offense to her. And don't get me wrong, fellas, this is not an excuse. We have our own work to do ourselves, and right? I always remember, I find it's always an interesting thing to think about what Jesus said about lust and simply looking. I think a lot of women will take that and they'll use that in judgment and be like, why are you looking? Jesus said, don't look. That's lust. Not really understanding. And I'm not saying I truly understand what he meant by that, but it's an interesting thing to consider how Jesus always was talking about the inside, the heart, what's going on inside. And so it's an interesting thing. I'm pointing out, though, how women are quick to judge, and it's devoid of any reason. Like, think about this. If Kaylee Triller's sharing this, it's funny because she would want a man like that. Okay, here's what I'm trying to say. It's like the stat here. This article says 90 to 99% of men regularly view pornography. Well, that's because that's men. How do I put what I'm trying to say? I'm not saying it's okay, but men are kind of sexual like that, right? And women like that. And if you're going to come out here putting out this article saying like, I don't want a man like this. Actually, most women do, and they just have no idea that that's what he's doing. Am I making some sense here? It's just sharing this. It seems to be kind of devoid of some reason here. They'll call it cheating. They'll call it all these things. I'm just saying, women, when they worry their pretty little heads and get to the bottom of things, it's devoid of understanding, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like as if these, and quite, it may be true, I don't know. That's what they're saying on Twitter. I can't confirm, but if it's true, these disproportionately Jewish pornographers, the Roe v. Wade and all these things we've been talking about did not make you do that. It didn't make you do that. And I get it. Some are all into Candace right now and this drama between her and Daily Wire. They side with her because she's supposedly like all tough and sticks to the truth. And even though she works for Ben Shapiro, she's still going to be tough and say the truth. And in my opinion, this is like a textbook female cringe, taking the so-called truth too far. And this dynamic with Ben, wherever you side with the Jews and Israel and all that, how does that show strength or anything good or manly or Christian? We don't want that. Yeah, right on, Candace. Right on. And this is weak. She's sitting in this room surrounded by Clavin and Shapiro, and they have their whiskey and their cigars. I don't know. Why are we okay with that? So you support some high horse woman, some woman on her high horse, crapping on a so-called man's platform. You see what I'm saying here? I just don't like that. It rubs me the wrong way. But where was I? I think that's it. I think that's all I want to say about that. The Candace thread, though, is interesting. It really is showing a change in conversation, in my opinion. What is everybody an anti-Semite? What's going on with this? What's going on with these comments? What the? More people are racist and anti-Semites than we give them credit for, huh? I have a thread. I have a Twitter thread I want to get to on that. But before I move on too quick here, and by the way, you can call 888-775-3773. I want to go back to that Kaylee Triller woman. You know, she had an interesting post. You know, considering I went through her Twitter when talking about the previous segment here. She writes this: I just want to throw this out there for anyone tempted to believe that women have a shelf life on the marriage market. When I say, when I was in my prime, I was in great shape, looked great in a swimsuit. My fertility window was wide open, but I was also a hot mess, an emotional train wreck with a rapidly increasing body count. Oh, what a mess. And disastrous candidate for marriage. I ultimately had to faceplant after making all the bad decisions that get Western women categorized as trash. Met the love of my life when I was way past my prime as the single mother of 2 children with 2 different baby daddies. Met him, was wiser, more stable, anchored in Christ with the capacity to love. I was also overweight with a rapidly closing fertility window. None of that mattered because my husband was looking for a good woman, not a vapid piece of arm candy. Moral of the story is that a lot of men on the internet are loud and cruel and immature, but they don't write the rules for the people worth knowing. If the good Lord wants to give you a mate, he's going to get it done regardless of what the bullies of the manosphere try to tell you. I point this out because it's like it's not in reality. You may not like these terms, shelf life, and these manosphere guys, they might talk about it in a way that's, maybe it feels like no love. It might feel like no love to you. But we all know this is true. We all know that you don't want to, there's a time and place, right? That there's a shelf life for marriage. I mean, prime. We all know that there is a sort of prime and all that. This is what I'm trying to say. Obviously, don't let the world tell you when you should get married and when you should have babies or not. You know, they tell you you're supposed to do it this and at this time or that time. You know what? I honestly forgot what I was going to say about this. We wish you well, Kelly Triller. We wish you well. You know, this was all dealt with on The Fallen State anyways, right? Go watch the Fallen State episode. Jesse dealt with this. Calling things love that may not be love, right? But I think I remember why I saved this. I do. I remember why I saved this post from her because there was someone in her comments here that wrote this. This is Harry Balsania. I don't know who you are, Harry, with a profile picture of Mel Gibson. But he writes to Kaylee on this post, I won't marry a woman that can't give me a legacy. That's a failure on both sides and the ultimate failure for any man. Okay, Harry. She writes, Kaylee responds, she writes, good luck. Harry responds, none needed. Plenty of women that just want a baby through apps like Just a Baby. Wait, what? What fresh hell is this? Just a Baby? What in the hell is this guy talking about? If you were suspecting a dating app for just making babies, you're correct. Justababy.com. Find people, make babies. Simply swipe, match, and connect until you find the right egg or sperm donor, embryo donor, surrogate, or co-parent you're looking for. Wow. What the? I didn't know this was happening. What the hell is this? Doesn't Just a Baby know that the swipe dating culture is a gay thing? You're not going to make... They're trying... Is this going to work? Who thinks this is going to work? I got like 40 kids now from that app. Are you joking, Kevin Howe? Don't put your personal business on the internet. Do you get paid for this? That's an interesting question, Raymond. You seeing this? Wow, I didn't know this existed. I know, Sugar Pancake Face, I learned about this today. Fine people make babies. I remember having a conversation at one of these Canadian bars back in the day with a young female. And she was like, I just want to have a baby. I don't want to find a man. I'm just done with men, blah, blah, blah. I just want someone to impregnate me, and then I can just raise the kid by myself. And I remember that whole table was like, what? Yeah, totally. That makes sense. And I wasn't even trying to be on a high horse or anything, but I'm just like, wait, so you want to make a single parent family on purpose? You want to do that on purpose? Connect locally or globally. Oh, no. Connect globally. Search for donors near me or filter your search results to find surrogates, sperm, egg, or embryos around the world. Global homo dating app, baby app. Folks, do you think this is going to fix the birth rates in America? What do you think? What do y'all think? My bet is because, think about it, Just a Baby. This is built on the same gay grinder framework. How can life and babies come out of that? Don't you know Tinder came from Grindr? So that means Just a Baby came from Tinder, which came from Grindr. This looks like a shell company for organ harvesting. They're making the baby makers gay and they didn't even know it. I'm just learning about this, folks. So, yeah. What fresh hell is this? Justababy.com. I told Kevin Howe don't put his personal business out there, but right now I'm looking at the chat to see if he put his personal business out there. Don't do it, Kevin. Is this a 501c3? I don't know. What birth rates in America? America has the highest population it's ever had and still growing. No? Everything is fake. Am I wrong about this? Because I could be wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I heard the birth rates of like Americans, like white Americans, black Americans are quite low, like below replacement. And we have a huge surge in population thanks to immigration. And then those immigrants are having babies, but that even the generations after them seem to adopt a low birth rate, just like the native populations. Yeah, let me know if I'm totally off base with that, because I don't want to be putting out fake news. So I guess I mean specifically whites, blacks, and even others. In the future, there will be a 1 in 30 chance any random American will have my DNA. You guys laugh now. I'm like a modern day Genghis Khan. That's actually really funny, Kevin Howe. There's something hilarious about that. But don't let comedy motivate your actions. Okay, what shall we do next? I think that's all we got out of this, right? Candace, thank you, Candace. Thank you. Can we move on? What else do we got? Kaylee Trillerth, appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's all. Oh, you know what? That's what I was going to do. I was going to show you this thread here on Twitter. I was remarking on the comments in Candace Owens' chat there, in her on the comments in her post there, how anti-Semitic they were. How they were truly exercising their free speech right to the edge. I say there's no edge. But, okay. I'm looking at another thread. I came across another thread and I had a similar reaction. Where I'm looking at the comments, and this is not a political thread. Because with Candace Owens, Daily Wire, and the topic she chose, it might bring out certain voices. It might cause certain types of people to use their free speech, okay? But I came across another thread. It's a woman talking about gaming, and she had a comment. She put out an almost innocuous, I don't know about innocuous, but she put out a tweet on her opinion on the gaming industry. And the comments, I'm like, whoa, shut it down. We got a whole bunch of racist, white supremacist, domestic terrorists in the chat, in the comments of this seemingly liberal, seemingly innocuous tweet, seemingly innocuous, you know what I mean? I want to get to that. Let's get to Dear Sten. She goes by Dear Sten, Dear Sten, over here on Twitter, x.com. Dear Sten, K-Bell, I guess. She's a local disabled cryptid, whatever the heck that is. They, them, co-founder of Demon Jam Games. So she's like not just a gamer, she's one of them developers. Minecraft, Fortnite, 2K, wrestling fan, horror geek. She's a new metal kid. So, a liberal, basically. Total liberal, making video games. Here's the thread. Oh, no! She deleted it. Dang. Darn, she made this tweet. It was so funny. Where is it? Let me see if I can pull up a picture or something. Oh, no. Okay, so this woman, she tweeted something that got some attention, and I guess the negative attention was just too much. All the anti-Semites and white supremacists in the chat got to her, and she had to delete it. Look, I found it. Someone here reposted it, said, asking her, "Hey, why'd you delete this? LOL." So here's the post in question, the now deleted post. She wrote, "The games industry is about to be only a white guy and his 5 white guy friends making a game at this point." And it got deleted. Now you might be wondering, what the heck? How did this get so much attention? At the time of the deletion, I guess, or at the time of this screenshot, it already had 500,000 views. She's saying the game industry is about to be only a white guy and his 5 white friends. She's remarking, if I remember, I believe she was remarking on AI and different tools making it easy to make games. I could be wrong exactly the context, but you should have seen the comments. It was so funny. Oh, you mean they then deleted it? My bad, Rome. Thank you for protecting me from YouTube. You're right. They then deleted it. I'm not going to play that game. K-Bell. You should have seen the comments. In fact, let me see if I can maybe find some of them. She deleted the post, though. You know, it looks like just searching it on Twitter lets me find some of them. Look at this. The reason she deleted it is because the comments were full of people saying, nice. Oh, that means the gaming industry's coming back, right? Oh, that means good. They're going to start making good games, right? Look, memes like this. Hell yeah, the 5 white guys made a Kino game again. And it's a Chad guy playing video games. That's why she deleted it. The video games industry was at its peak when every studio was either 5 white guys in a room or a dozen Japanese guys in a room. Sometimes it'd even be a group of 5 white guys and a dozen Japanese guys in a room. And they'd make effing miracles like Sega or Sony in the 90s. That is so funny. It's just hilarious to me. Are we back? Are we good? Like, is this what this means? Are we winning? Is that what this means? If those 5 white guys can consistently keep delivering things like Helldivers and Pal World, I haven't played any of those, then, you know, he's saying, I guess this is a good thing. Nice. We're so back. Winning formula. I think that's a winning formula. Anybody remember all that negative attention Cyberpunk got from my gamers in the chat? This was for my gamers in the chat. That game that came out some years ago, Cyberpunk 2077. It was supposed to be major. Like major. This is going to be the biggest thing ever. Huge flop. Now, I don't know. I don't want to comment on it. I didn't play it. Maybe it's good. But I remember nobody mentioned this. Nobody mentioned how the CD Projekt Red, the company behind it, months or maybe even a year prior, put out this little image on their Twitter. Where was it? Anyways, they put out like a whole thing on diversity. And nobody mentioned that. I'm just like, you guys know, do you guys remember? CD Projekt Red went all diversity and inclusion. And you're surprised that the quality of stuff is lower? Diversity and inclusion. So it's just hilarious. This K-Bell getting absolutely mogged on Twitter, as they say. Just absolutely. Don't go harass her. I hear Hake say, and I think that might be a good prescription here. But we wish her well, right? She's totally wrong on this, though. She's absolutely wrong on this. Women, stay out of this. Gamergate, I'm telling you, I told you before, the nerds did not survive Gamergate. The women won that. You think you won Gamergate, but you didn't. Actually, the women won that. But maybe this is a good sign. Maybe this is a good sign, folks. We're coming back. We're coming back. I'm old. I just have a cracked version of Napoleon Total War. Nice. I think that's Genius Games. Right on, everything is fake. What are y'all saying in the chat? Been listening to this insane person ramble for an hour and a half. Carver, I don't know. I don't know if she does or doesn't. If them does or doesn't. Amazing. I might be desperate enough in 10 years to get that app, LOL. What a mess. Harmony in my chat. It's a sad state of men, isn't it, Harmony? Birdie Bound Baby Wars. But anyways, shall we move on here? Because you guys are getting way too excited on this justababy.com stuff. You know, we were here making fun of it, and you guys are all excited. This is almost evil. I've signal boosted this. It's like those people who copycat. Like, it's like those people. I saw this video of someone who set themselves on fire over in London, and I think it was like a protest. It looked like a Muslim guy. He saw Aaron Bushnell set himself on fire, and he's like, you know what? I'll do that too. Is that what you guys are doing? I'm showing you justababy.com, and you guys are like, yeah, Nick, that's weird. Wait, what was the website again? Yeah, Nick. Ew. Just a Baby's just like Grindr. It's gay. Is it .com? Is it .com or is it .org? What is it again? It's for research. I can make it work. Hey, Chris, thank you for the super chat. Says, I just bought this game, Pacific Drive, and there's an option to customize your car with flags. There are about 30 flags, and every single one is some sort of queer flag. Not sure if you look it up. It's wild. Help me understand gaming industry. Please tell me I see the girls, they're getting into Forza, they're getting into the racing games. I get it. And I get it. A bunch of fellas in my chat, they just want a Forza racing bay. They just pray to God, please, God, can I just have a Forza bay? Forza is a really, really high quality racing game, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Please, God, I just want a Forza bay. I just want a Forza GF. But please, gaming industry, in what world are the people playing Pacific Drive, are they clamoring? I'm sure it's some of your player base, but really, how much of your player base is clamoring for 30 different pride flags to put on your virtual car? Please. Help me understand this one. Appreciate that super chat, though, Chris. Very generous. Thank you for that. Very nice. Icy calls. Appreciate the patience. 888-775-3773. Oh, never mind. I don't have any calls. 888-775-3773. Should I take it? Okay, let me see what I could do here. And that's all the coffees as well. Thank you. Buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. I wanted to get into one more thing here, I think. Okay. Space Cadet.
Call.
How you doing, Space Cadet? You're on the air. Space Cadet out of Maryland. How you doing, sir?
Hi, Nick. Hey, I wanted to talk to you personally, man to man.
Let's do it, man.
Why do you have such animus towards me?
Because I must forgive. And I'm wrong for that, man.
No, you're not wrong to forget, sir.
I'm wrong for having animus. I shouldn't have any feelings or animus towards you at all. My apologies, man. Will you accept my apology?
Yes, sir.
Space Cadet, why do you have so much animus towards me?
Well, because I told you hung up on me, and you said you do that to everybody, blah, blah, you know.
What?
I don't know. I waited on hold for 30 minutes, sir, and then you hung up on me, and I called back, and you said...
But that wasn't out of nowhere. But you know what, Space Cadet, how about this? Let's start on a new foot. Let's not even utter the past ever again. Let's move on. How about that, right?
Okay.
And so so moving forward, if you call me, you just call me with a question or comment, and we'll just keep it pushing.
Okay.
Do you have a question or comment for me today?
Cool. Yeah, I did.
Right on, Space Cadet. Appreciate it. Take care.
No, I did. I
thought you said I did and you already asked it. Go ahead. Give me your question or comment.
You see, this is how it is with you. God damn. You know what? Fine, Nick.
All right. I think we're done. I don't know, folks. I've tried my best. I've tried my best to handle those. I try my best to deal with these. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're entertained at least. I don't know. You guys might think that I'm like trolling or something. I sincerely to this day don't know what's going on. And I keep attempting to deal with that. And maybe I've dealt with it wrong or right, but I hope you're entertained. What a mess. He even clicked me. 888-775-3773. I believe I have a Steve. I got a Steve out of Ohio. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hey, Nick. What's up, dude?
All is well, Steve. Go ahead.
You know what? I actually just called in so you can hang up on me because Space Cadet was very rude to you. I felt like if you wanted to slap me through the phone real quick, I'll take it like a man.
I appreciate that, Steve. You know what I'll do? I'm not gonna slap you through the phone, but I didn't get the luxury. I didn't get the luxury or the satisfaction of being able to press the big red button on someone, and I'm gonna do that to you now unceremoniously. So
delete me, sir.
Too bad, so sad. Thank you, Steve, for letting me get that off my chest and giving life to my ego. But we having fun, right? Thank you, Steve. He meant that, right? I really did hit the button. I don't know if he was joking and he actually had a question or comment. I think he was being pretty serious about that, though. Why do you like the abuse, Steve? Are you a pain freak? Are you a little pain freak? I'm sorry, I'm just remembering what Jesse, a classic Jesseism, one that's truly so funny, and I can't believe I just forgot about it till just now. Are you a little pain freak? Don't be a little pain freak. But thank you for the satisfaction of pressing the big red button, the clicking on someone. Feels good, huh? All right, let's move on. Let's move on. What can we do in the last half of the show, last quarter of the show here? I want to ask y'all, is this real? Anybody know if the following is real? I'm going to need some help on this one. Is this real, folks? Oh, what the? Hold up. It's coming out of the wrong end. And I'm talking about the audio of this clip and nothing else. It's coming out the wrong side. Bear with me, please. Bear with me as I change my audio device so that you may better hear me. Okay, folks, I think we got it. And you know what we're going to do, too? We're going to lower this volume so we don't blast any earsies. Oh, we did it. Oh, we did it. Thank you for bearing with me. Is this real?
This country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European.
What?
You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do.
What the heck? Who's Biden yelling at? Is this AI generated? This has to be AI generated.
This country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do.
Dang. Joe Biden sounded kind of based. What's going on, Biden? Does Biden know he's on camera? Or is this AI generated? Someone tell him. Someone tell him the cameras are on. That's way too honest. That's way too real. So people in my chat are already saying, AI, this is AI. Yeah. Very funny. Why are you so nervous, man? I knew Biden was based. And you guys are saying, Biden didn't say that though, okay? Don't excite me. Don't get me all excited like Biden. Calm down, Nick. I know it's AI. Look at it's blurry video. You can't even see the mouths moving. It's all blurry. Nice trick. Reuters fact check. Biden's comments about doomed United States taken out of context. Hold up. It's actually not fake news. He actually did say that. He did say that. Don't get all excited, though. It was taken out of context. What he was saying was, okay, social media users have been sharing a video clip from a Zoom call where President Joe Biden seems to say that the United States is doomed because the country will be minority white European by 2040. Biden's words have been taken out of context. The call then President-elect Biden held with civil rights leaders. The statistics was mentioned as a reason why significant progress on racial equity was so important. He's saying the full comments are him saying that America, if the part where it's cut off is him saying, if we don't do significant work on racial equity, here it is, the country is doomed. So he's talking about if there isn't significant work on racial equity. Okay, so he's actually saying being minority white is good, and that it's how we're going to fix America being doomed because there's no racial equity. So that's actually the story. So don't get all excited. It's actually even an old thing. It's going viral again. All of a sudden going viral, but, clipped up in this malicious way, maliciously clipped up with the caption, "Is this not the most racist thing you've ever heard?" So I know we're just having a good old yuck. He did say that out of context, though. It is significant, though. We do wish he did. We do wish that was something he truly said, because that would be pretty on the money. Sad but true. Sad but true. It's on the money. Hacks liberals, Mexican moms, take it forever to make you your McDouble. Like what I was saying earlier, right? It's not the work, it's not the brand, it's the people. It's not these Roe v. Wade, it's the people. Not all these Jewish pornographers, it's the people. You know what I'm saying? So too it matters with doctors. Check this out, okay? Fascinating thread here on the abandonment of standards and metrics when it comes to hiring surgeons. Incredible stuff here. Let me pull it up here. Because out of context, Biden is right. Let's get into this thread here. It's posted by Ben Shapiro. And it's a very fascinating thread. I got to show it to you. DEI in medicine. It's about diversity in medicine and in surgeons and these. It's not just administrative stuff, human resources. No, it's pretty important positions. Lawyers, judges, justices, doctors, surgeons, pilots. DEI in medicine means that even if doctors injure patients, they might still be protected and even promoted. It means that top hospitals are abandoning key metrics when hiring surgeons. And it means research by whites may be disregarded. And so Ben Shapiro has this whole thread reporting on Wake Forest Medical School. And he reminds us about this 𝒔𝒊𝒂𝒎 del Rosario. And if you remember, this story went viral like a couple years ago. I think even during COVID, I forget exactly, 2022. And it was this apparent medical student who went viral on Twitter for this tweet that she posted. She writes, "I had a patient I was doing a blood draw on. See my pronoun pin." You know how people wear pins that tell you what pronouns they have? And loudly laughed to the staff, "She, her. Well, of course it is. What other pronouns even are there? It?" And so she writes, "I missed his vein, so he had to get stuck twice." You know, implying that she did that on purpose, I guess. Medical malpractice, actually attempting to hurt here just because she didn't like the politics, didn't like what this patient said about pronouns. You might think it's silly. Oh, he just missed his vein. This is egregious. This is pretty next level. So, a little update on that. Ben Shapiro reports how this 𝒔𝒊𝒂𝒎 del Rosario, the med student who injured a conservative patient and bragged about it, Wake Forest allowed Rosario to lay low and take a voluntary leave of absence when this scandal broke. Looks like she might be a doctor, though. I'm also told that UPenn Health has hired Ewan Liu, Del Rosario's classmate, who said it seemed karmatic when she injured the patient who mocked her pronoun pin. So that'll be birds of a feather. So yeah, he reports how Wake Forest has attempted to hide these hirings of these people, these scandalous people. This is the norm in medicine, he writes. Meet award-winning Duke surgical resident Vignesh Raman. At an internal DEI lecture, Raman says his heart sinks when he has patients who watch Fox News.
And from Qatar to get treated here, we treat patients who are just from the community in the South. And yes, my heart sinks every time I go into a room and I watch them watching Fox News, or they have a MAGA hat on, or they're wearing a Confederate belt, right? These are the patients that we treat. But Geraldine, I will say that the one very good thing about the South that I enjoy is exactly what I alluded to earlier, is that we don't treat VIPs. We treat people from our community. And our community, as Auri explained, is majority non-white. And it is wonderful to treat such a diverse group of people in every regard.
He's talking about America. Remember, I'm in the South and I get all these patients and it's just wonderful. No, that sounded too German. It's just wonderful. It's just wonderful that there's majority non-white.
And that's not an experience that I had in my sabais in other places, or that my friends have training in other programs. You know,
whatever, man. Janagana. Rahman adds that post-George Floyd, Duke made a concerted effort to stop hiring so many walls of white men. He says the team is now abandoning all sorts of metrics and adopting a completely holistic. What the heck is... What do you mean? Why is a doctor using the word holistic? Am I wrong? What's holistic approach? Don't doctors not like holistics? Isn't that fake? Isn't that just fake stuff? Holistic, characterized by the belief that the parts of something are interconnected and can be explained. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm thinking of homeopathy. That's what I'm thinking of. Doctors don't like homeopathy. So he's saying all sorts of metrics, adopting a completely holistic application practice in order to recruit more women and non-white surgeons. But why? But why? He doesn't even say, it's so nice to see that I have a majority non-white patients. Why? You're in America. Why is that strange? Would you say that in India? Would you go to India and say, man, I wish I had a majority non-Indian patients to care for? And if you saw a white doctor in India saying that, wouldn't you say, well, you're in the wrong place, buddy? Isn't that what you would say to that person?
Consciousness of Duke University and certainly our department to try to do something and recognizing this like centuries-long history of racism and slavery in which Duke University essentially was founded, on which it was founded, and that's when we sort of had to confront the history of the institution, the history of our department, the walls of white men that are draped across our hallways, and that's when we started to think that maybe something should change. Something should change within ourselves.
I said, why? I'm sorry for being so ignorant. I just read it too. He says it was post George Floyd, so he believes in the racism thing. We should have known this. He hates white people. He has a judgment of them and thinks he knows what's in their hearts. Like so many such cases.
And who comprises this department in terms of the faculty, in terms of the residents, significant inequity in representation in our program. And it's something that we've been consciously, deliberately working hard to change over the last several years. Some of the things that we have done in addition to what Lillian presented, I think the most important thing we've done is really systemic changes to our recruitment process to try to recruit diverse residents to our program and then to retain and support those diverse residents after they get to our program. So part of this...
Excuse me, sir, what are your thoughts on hygiene? I know you're a doctor. Don't get mad. I know you're a doctor. I'm just wondering. What are your thoughts on hygiene? I'm not assuming anything, man. It's a simple question. I just want to know, sir, Dr. Raman Vinjugamit. What are your thoughts on hygiene? It's a totally innocuous question, man. Anyways. Where were we? You know, we're just talking about this, I guess. I'm reminding a little bit about my call with Mark earlier. You know what I mean? Like, we can look at a scene like this, for example. You know what I mean? For an example, we can look at this, posted by End Wokeness. It reads, breaking, illegals demand more free housing and they shut down a Seattle City Council meeting. You see a scene like this, for example.
As asylum seekers and their
Hold up.
Once again pleaded for support. Seattle City Council disrupted as asylum seekers and their supporters once again pleaded for support. Council President Sarah Nelson saying there are limited resources here.
I don't really want to participate in a conversation that should be had with county leaders, state leaders, federal leaders.
Council ultimately took a break from the meeting in the middle of chants from protesters yelling on behalf of the refugees. At one point, Councilmember Kathy Moore requested that SPD take action.
I request that we have police response. Our physical safety is being threatened by the actions of the demonstrators outside banging on the windows.
Wow.
Eventually, arrests were made. It's the second time in 2 months that the group from Latin America has called upon Seattle leaders to fund their temporary housing.
Dignified housing for all refugees, reads their sign.
Refugees have been living in different area hotels, most recently this one in Kent. That stay was funded by Seattle taxpayers. Genesis from Venezuela said she knows this protest wasn't the most correct thing to do, but they've
you don't say. That's incredible. We have a voice. Is this the voice of reason of these Venezuelans? They'll be happy to protest and all that, and you got one woman saying, it may not have been the most correct thing.
Genesis from Venezuela said she knows this protest wasn't the most correct thing to do, but they've got kids. They feel pressured to act for them. And there's...
Okay, something I've noticed a lot with this Hispanic morality. And I don't know if it's unique to Hispanics, really. I don't want to say that. Evil is evil, and the spirit is the same everywhere. But I'm telling you, I see this a lot with these Mexicans, Hispanics. They have this end justify the means mentality where it's like, yeah, well, it's wrong to steal. But me, I got these kids, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to feed them. And that makes it moral. That's truly a fine justification. I talked to quite a few Mexicans, actually, in Mexico. And they spoke this way. Older gentlemen, too. These were old gentlemen. Some of them quite old. I don't know about quite old. He looked old. Maybe he just looked older than he was. Missing teeth and stuff. But I'm talking about my best friend in Mexico. Yeah, they justify this. The cartels and all this, but not just the cartels. They have this mentality where the ends justify the means. You know, she says, it's interesting that she even says, it wasn't the most correct thing. It was the most correct thing. But why? I would like to know why she sees that as not the most correct thing. Because if you believe you deserve, let's say you believe you deserve dignified housing for all refugees, why would you have any qualms in what you're doing? Because I think everybody knows. Everybody knows that this is crazy to come into someone's house and say, and you're already getting free stuff, and to say, well, I want more. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. But the part of the clip that's so interesting, and it reminded me about Mark's call earlier, is who were these people flanked alongside? Seattle residents. You heard it in the news clip. The immigrants, the migrants, and their supporters. Who do you think that is? The white women of Seattle. Maybe I'm not being fair. Maybe it's these liberal beta males too. But you get it? They're not even the problem. Like, you look at these people and they're not these kind people with kids. No, they're opportunistic hags, grabbing whatever they can, whatever they see, and just taking. Quite immoral, if you ask me.
Outside.
Quite immoral, if you ask me. So that's clear, right? But what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah. You see them, and that's clear. They're immoral. They're not what they tell you. They're not who they tell you they are. They just want dignified housing. But it's also their supporters, your neighbors. So they're really not the problem. They're really not. The problem is within. The problem is inside. The enemy is within. You see what I'm saying? Come on, you guys get it. You guys know what I'm saying. Incredible. Wow, did we already get to the end of the show already? Amazing how time flies. I guess we'll leave this Trump ballot stuff. You know, we'll leave this all for tomorrow. Got some amazing things to get into. You know, anyways, we'll leave this for tomorrow. We had a nice show today, don't you think? So join me tomorrow. Wow. Already Friday. We got a flight tomorrow. We're already at the end of the show today. I wrote this in my notes for today's show. And I'm telling myself to leave it for tomorrow, but It's so interesting. They put a mask on a statue and they controlled you with it. I know that means nothing to you without any context. I just wrote this in my notes. It's something I heard. It was a statue of Jesus, and they put a COVID mask on him. Was it in Brazil? Where was it? This was back during COVID. And it Christ the Redeemer, maybe? And it drove people insane. Christians. It controlled you. We're going to leave this for tomorrow. Well, I'll just let you smoke on that. Appreciate you being with me today, though. That's pretty much it for me. That's pretty much the whole show. Let me see if I'm not missing any super chats and all that, because I won't be back tomorrow at noon. Tomorrow, you're going to watch The Fallen State at noon, but I will be back at around 4 for our flight, and you don't want to miss it. Nick Stream Fridays, we're going to take a flight. We're going to land the plane. We're going to have an amazing show. So hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss when we go live tomorrow. That's all the super chats and all the support. Thank you so much, folks. All right, y'all. Let me say goodbye here and see y'all tomorrow. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. See you tomorrow. Bye. All right, little Nick too's got to say bye-bye.